Mitchell Trubisky is going to be an NFL starter again after backing up Josh Allen in Buffalo. And it's no surprise to the Bills, who openly said towards the end of the year they did not expect Trubisky to be back after signing a one-year contract. My question is, how many teams are going to be in the bidding for him? Because there's still a handful of teams who are in need of a quarterback. Not just one, but in some cases two. And Trubisky's out there likely to have his pick among, just thinking through the teams. Carolina, I know they have Darnold, but again, they need a quarterback. Carolina, New Orleans, those are the top two for me, but also you still have Indy. Who knows with some other trades that could happen. Seattle for sure. If Kirk Cousins gets traded, Minnesota. There are many factors to this. And I think if you sign Trubisky, you're also in line to potentially draft one of these rookies in the first or second round, and you pair them together, and it's a similar scenario to what happened to him in Chicago.
I put Cleveland there, too.
Cleveland's good.
I'll put Pittsburgh in there. I keep coming back to Trubisky's going to be playing for Pittsburgh for whatever reason. In my mind, I feel like they're going to draft a quarterback, but they're going to get Trubisky or someone, you said a bridge. Mm-hmm. I think Trubisky is that. He's a good bridge option.
He's a good quarterback. He's nothing great. Yeah.
He's not a franchise quarterback, but he's a good bridge option for someone. I could see him getting Pittsburgh to the playoffs.
A lot of people would group him, fairly or not, with Bridgewater, which I think is kind of fair. I think Bridgewater can be steady.
I agree.
Mariota, which I don't think is fair, because I just don't think Mariota will stay healthy. I think you guys are probably with me on that. He can give you a couple good games, but hell, he played one snap in that game last year, took off. The Raiders had a big plan for him to supplement Carr. He went on a good run, and he got hurt.
Yep.
And he was on the shelf for like 9 weeks or something out of that. But I've got one more name that we haven't mentioned once, who's another guy in this category as far as I'm concerned, Ryan Fitzpatrick. He got hurt in the opener, and Washington was going to use him as a bridge guy last year. They didn't intend to go with Heineke.
Is it weird that I just assumed when I saw him shirtless in Buffalo for that playoff game that his career was over?
Yeah.
Maybe
far from over.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I see a guy, just pounding Molson Blues, shirtless in freezing temperatures, and think that's a guy who's no longer playing.
Here's the thing about him. When he's bad, he's really bad. But his highs are probably way bigger than anything Bridgewater or Trubisky is going to do.
Well, you're describing...
That guy's capable of going out and throwing for 400 yards.
You're describing Jameis Winston, who you hate.
Yeah, I do hate Jameis Winston.
That's how I would describe Jameis Winston. He's hot or cold.
Yeah.
And that's why he's at the top of many of these lists, for that exact reason.
Yeah. And when they are cold, they will lose you games.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They will throw it to the opposition multiple times, both of those guys.
Well, I'm just adding one to the list that's a little bit longer than we thought. He's been completely forgotten about because he's disappeared for 17 weeks, 16 weeks. Yeah, 17 weeks with the bye week in an 18-week season. So there's another one. And he's ideal if he's a guy who's playing you 4 games, and you get the hot 4 games. It's terrific. I'd like him here in Nashville, to be honest with you, if you're looking for that upgrade behind and you can only do so well. He's been here before under a different regime, but that wouldn't be a bad one to get yourself somebody between Logan Woodside and Ryan Tannehill.
But no one's commanding, I don't think, the money.
Trubisky's getting $10 million. He's looking for $10 million. At least,
yeah. And I think with the teams involved, he could probably get that.
$10 million with incentives, and if he plays a lot for you and does well,
I think here's what's about to happen whenever he's signed. I think the team that signs him is going to, and it'll be through the media that brings this up. I'm trying to mention it first. They're going to compare him to Ryan Tannehill in Miami and say, hey, what you thought of him in Chicago is not the guy that we just signed, because here's the system and we're going to piece some things around him. And that's going to be the narrative of Mitchell Trubisky.
So Tannehill's peak in Miami was better than Trubisky's peak. Though Trubisky went to the playoffs a couple times and Tannehill did not. But Tannehill... without looking at it, I'm going to say Tannehill's best season or seasons in Miami were better than Trubisky's. Now, that's warm weather, cold weather, and all of that. Tannehill flamed out, and they kind of got sick of him over time, and his chances were used up, whereas Trubisky was one contract and just with a bad organization and didn't ultimately live up to the billing. He's overdrafted.
He's a guy that in his career has thrown for a little over 3,000 yards a season. He gets
Tannehill had 4,000, right?
He doesn't get he doesn't get 20 touchdown passes a year, but he also doesn't have a lot of double-digit interception seasons.
Yeah.
Like he's just very steady.
Big difference too. Trubisky's 27. Tannehill was 31.
Yeah.
When he came to Titans, so bigger body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing about Trubisky. I think first and foremost,
which could be also, by the way, a positive for Trubisky.
He comes,
you could point to that and say we really didn't see enough out of him in Chicago.
He comes with the next best commodity to previous excellence, hope. Right? He's not so bad that you're like, oh, we got to settle for that. Guy comes in, and if you've got good quarterback coaching people, you say, maybe we can make something of him. Now, he could bomb, or he could be good, but at least he gives you hope. Some of these other guys have been around there. Bridgewater, you know what he is, and he's been around. Mariota, you know the downside. Odds are he gets hurt. Fitzpatrick, we just said it. Like, oh, we're going to have some really good weeks where he's going to be the highest scoring guy in fantasy. And we're going to have some weeks where this guy just gives us no chance and bombs out. But Trubisky, we don't know. There's hope.
Yeah, and he's the one guy that you feel like you don't have the full book on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that.
Exactly.
Everybody else, you feel like, this guy kind of is who he is.
Winston also.
Winston, same thing. And with Trubisky, it's like, oh, can you get 3,800 yards? And can you get 25 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions from him? Is he capable of that? That's why you would sign him to a $10 million a year type contract. I don't think it's I see this being like a 3-year type contract with Trubisky.
I think maybe even shorter if he's betting on himself. He'd want another chance to get on. If he goes somewhere and does well, he'd want a chance to get on the market and make bigger money. So maybe an option.
Yeah, and then he hits free
something.
agency again by the time he's 31, which is why he signed a 1-year contract in Buffalo, was to just bridge it out and then get to free agency now.